Jeff Ogilvy survives Wingfoot.
Now the moment Aaron Badley has waited for.
Curry Webb is the 5-time Australian Open champion.
Golf at its best by one of the best in golf, Peter Thompson.
Stand in front of a crowd like this today and win the PGA Championship is pretty special.
He's done it at last. Greg Norman.
Matt Jones gets his name on the Stonehaven Cup.
Leishman to 11 under. Now we've got a new leader, kids.
There it is! Adam Scott. A life changer. Coming up next, you have unrestricted access to golf across Australia and the world. Thanks to Golf Australia, we're going inside the ropes. Subscribe now on iTunes or your favourite podcast app, or head to golf.org.au.
G'day everybody, welcome to the show. It is Inside the Ropes, episode number 36, and a huge week with some big news to share with all golf fans around Australia in a moment. Andy Maher in the studio alongside the great Mark Hayes. We're both suffering this mystery lurgy, as we haven't been kissing one another. So just to put that out on the record, we've kept a healthy distance.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And we're just after our 0055 licence in case this gets a bit racy.
Stacey Peters joins us again. Hello, Stace.
Hey, Andy. How we doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Big show. Marc Leishman to join us, Sarah Jane Smith, and we'll catch up with Bryden Macpherson as he takes us through the life of a touring pro over there in China. But before we get stuck into the bits and pieces, Marc Leishman not too far away from joining us. Huge news, Hazy. This is dream come true stuff for people like you and I imagine for you too, Stacey, even though you're not coming.
Thanks for rubbing that in.
Right.
Yeah.
We're off to the Masters.
I cannot believe it, Andy. It's all just happened very quickly and suddenly, but we are, the two of us, going to call it on radio.
So the announcement was made on Wednesday morning. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but a beautiful whirlwind nonetheless, as part of a broad sweep of media coverage, radio media coverage. We're going to be over there Friday, Augusta time, so and we'll be bringing you the last two rounds via golf.org.au, minute by minute, shot by shot, and on various other outlets, particularly if you're in Victoria, you'll be able to hear it on SEN, 1116 SEN. But this has happened quickly. Never been done before into Australia. It's a joy to be part of it.
It's quite remarkable, actually. I didn't think we were going, obviously.
No.
And it's happened quickly. And I think, from memory, myself having done this 25 times in my life, everyone has to get ready to go to work or school or anything that they're doing on Monday morning, right about the time when whips are getting cracking at Augusta National. What do? If you have to leave the tally, what do you do?
Exactly.
So I'm telling you now that there's an alternative, and it's a great one because, for all our faults, we'll be passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I think that it probably will shine through more than anything in the coverage. So we will be doing Saturday and Sunday, Augusta time, ball by ball, all the way through. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait to do that. It's going to be staggering.
We don't really know, as we sit here right now, we don't really know what it looks like, Stace. We know what the Masters provide from a media perspective, and it is world class. And there's a new media centre there. Hazy, I was there in 2010, so I don't know what this looks like. In 2010, it was fantastic, but it was already getting too small back then. So they've reconstructed the whole thing, and I can't wait. I don't know what we have at our disposal. We'll find out when we get over there, but it's going to be pretty amazing.
It's all a bit of a mystery, and we'll probably give you the brace and bits, Stace, when we talk about it so much when we get home.
Yeah, so how is it kind of going to work? Is there just going to be a few of you covering a few groups, or how is that generally going to work? Or what are we going to be hearing?
Hazy and I will be in the central command position, and we'll be covering as much as we can from there. We'll have a couple of people out on course, Tristan Fernanda and
Sutho?
Golf Australia's own.
Is it Johnny Sutherland? I think Sutho's going to be out there as well. Now, there's no... For those who don't know, there's no following groups inside the ropes at Augusta. They don't let radio and print media walk the fairways behind groups. So there's a limitation in regards to that, and I totally understand why they do it. They want it, pure.
Yep. So
we get that. We think, I'm told, even though I'm not sure about this, Hazy, I'm told there are 4 radio booths out on the course. I know there's TV towers, but I don't know where the radio booths are. But we'll have, if that's the case, we'll have Southo and Tristan strategically positioned out on the course to bring us what should be the most dramatic turns, particularly on the weekend. But I'm not sure where they are.
I've racked my brain, and I can remember one behind the 16th green.
Okay, well that's a great place to be.
Yeah, the other ones I still can't for the life of me figure out where they are, but presumably they're there. And if Tristan can get up there and Southo can climb a tower, I think we'll be in business.
Southo's pretty fit. I don't know about Tristan, but we'll be right. It is, look, however plays out, we're going to be across everything between the four of us to the absolute best of our ability, and we're very lucky. I feel extremely privileged to be able to do this.
Ditto.
I remember we were on air. I remember in 2013 I was on air on SEN doing breakfast, and Kevin Bartlett was doing mornings after me, and we had the TV on in the studio. It was, obviously went down to the wire, and Scotty gets over the line, and I called, his putt on 18, and then Cabrera's putt on 18 in the rain, and it was just we were breaking into other interviews that we had going on at the time, and but we were doing as best as we possibly could without breaching broadcast agreements. Bringing in, and Kev then got to call the winning putt, and it was so dramatic and brilliantly received by the audience because it's live and it's passionate and that was history in the making. So hopefully we get. All roads are suggesting, all the lead into this Masters is suggesting that it could be something special. It could be epic, yeah.
And let's hope that there's an Australian involved when the whips are cracking. I'm sure we'll go right over the top if that's the case.
That was not to give it, yes.
I can't imagine.
I may end up kissing you if that happens.
But the beauty of what could happen, especially if an Australian's involved, is this will be, we are restricted to hearing Jim Nantz and Nick Faldo. You'll get a different take from us, I'm sure. I'm certain of that.
No doubt.
Very different.
So all the details will be made public to you. But if you're thinking that this is something you want to listen to through your computer or your Bluetooth or through your headset or whatever it might be, golf.org.au is absolutely going to be the place that will take blanket coverage of Saturday, Sunday, Monday our time. And then, variously, there'll be other places you can hear it, particularly if you're listening to our radio show, cut-down version of the podcast here on a Saturday morning on SEN, then you'll be able to hear it through overnight, of course, and then through Brecky and Jared's show. They'll take as much as they like, and that'll be dependent upon, the nature of the finish, I suspect. So.
Yeah, and one more thing, Andy. I think, over the years, pretty much everyone who's got up to watch the Masters at some point in Australia has gone, why isn't this on before 6 in the morning or 5:30? And it's all to do with CBS broadcasting deals and what the Augusta National officials want to have happen. We're going to be going through the wee hours of the night. So if you've got a bit of insomnia or you want to get up and get into it before it's on telly, we're the place to be.
And you won't be hearing this voice as part of it, but this, going back to 2013, this is the sort of stuff that I was talking about. Here's KB on SEN calling that putt.
Adam Scott settles himself over the ball. It's around about 10 feet. Adam Scott settles, takes the club back. The ball is on its way. It's on its way. Yes! It's in the hole! It's in the hole! Adam Scott has just sunk the putt.
It was more than 10 feet.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
But that's the sort of stuff, So
does that make the hairs on the back?
Oh, it does.
Really
I got
does.
chills.
It really does. Well, there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about on the way through today. Marc Leishman not too far away from joining us, so I'll have to get to a break in a moment and get to Leish. But just while we're on the Masters and events of the week, and there's some fallout from the WGC match play that we need to talk about beyond Cameron Smith. But how good was Cameron Smith during the match play?
Well, I mean, and with that sort of thing, that pressure on the line to get,
God.
To cement his spot. Like, obviously, he was aware of that. I mean, I'm sure everybody was mentioning it. And, hey, he would know that as much as he's probably trying to push that out of his mind. But, that was awesome. And, I mean, I did watch quite a bit of it, and he played some awesome golf. Yeah.
It was really disjointed about his world ranking, what it was going to be through the week, because you think we learned from some source, which was apparently erroneous.
Just ask Ian Poulter about that.
Yeah. That when he beat Matsuyama in round 2 of the round robin, that was enough.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, and then we think, all right, as long as he qualifies from the group, he's bound to finish T9, T17 rather.
Yeah.
No worse.
Yeah.
No, apparently that wasn't the case.
Is that right? I thought if he got into that.
Yeah,
that's what I thought too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he had to still have a series of one-out events happen in unison with each other.
Yeah.
And he still wouldn't make it. He would finish 51st, where Ian Poulter ended up finishing, but none of them happened. Siwoo Kim lost early in the first round of the knockout phase, and he was guaranteed a spot. And he ended up 44th.
With room to spare.
Oh, yeah, on the bit.
Yeah.
It's just great, though, isn't it? I mean, he's such a terrific kid. He's a great representative. He does it all. He bleeds the maroon, as we've spoken to him about on this show last year, but I think he loves wearing the Australian colours on his sleeve, and he'll be representing himself, but at the same time, he knows how keen we are.
Reminds me quite a bit of Leish, actually, those two together, I reckon. Real Aussie blokes.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to Leish about that.
Yeah.
I think one thing with Cam Smith, and we haven't had a chance to see it yet unless you've watched him at an amateur level, he's a big-time performer. We saw it at Chambers Bay when he nearly held out for Albatross on the 18th. He was the dominant player in the match in the Zurich shootout when he won that with Jonas Blixt. He's a big-time player. When the stakes get high, watch out for him.
Yeah. Well, how about the match where he won when he beat Hutton? Didn't he have Hutton had maybe 7 birdies, I think?
Yeah.
And he beat him with 8. Yeah,
amazing. No, he's got gears for an unassuming type. He's a fire in the belly, and he's got gears with his game, which you need.
And the hands around the greens.
Oh, well,
at
that's
Augusta.
going to kill blokes, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a lot of
Hayes is excited.
We can't wait. So. That's the news. Let's get a break out of the way. Marc Leishman about to join us. There's a whole lot of other stuff we need to talk about from the WGC match play, other news around the world. There's bits and pieces we need to knock off on the way through. But as I said, we'll get a break out of the way. Marc Leishman to join us next here on Inside the Ropes.
G'day, I'm My Golf Ambassador Jason Day. I'm really excited to be an ambassador for My Golf, Australian Golf's national junior program, jointly run by Golf Australia and the PGA. My Golf is every Aussie kid's first step on their golfing pathway. It's all about teaching children the basic skills of golf in a safe and healthy environment, and just as importantly, about the life skills that golf can teach you that distinguish our sport from the rest. Remember to visit mygolf.org.au for more information.
G'day, I'm Jared Felton, and I love catching up with Inside the Ropes.
Welcome back to the show. Well, I don't know whether our next guest, you two, particularly you and me, Hazy, because we are, as people now know, lucky enough to be heading over to Augusta. I don't know whether he becomes as consumed by the US Masters as we golf fanatics become. But let's find out. Marc Leishman's been good enough to join us on Inside the Ropes, and what a joy it is to have you on the show, big fella. Thanks for giving up a bit of your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. No worries. Good to be talking.
Do you? I mean, is it something for you? I mean, the majors loom, large, I imagine, on, players of your caliber's schedule. You plan for them, but this one does feel like it's always a pretty unique and a bit special. Does it kind of consume you in the lead up to it?
I think it can if you're not careful. You've got so long between the PGA, the end of last year, and the Masters. A lot of time to prepare, and you know what the course is going to give you. So, it's nice that it gives you a bit of extra time to prepare, but you got to be careful that you don't, forget about the tournaments that you're playing leading up and sort of focus on preparation. But I've played enough of them now that I just try and treat it like a normal tournament. Maybe I'll start preparing a little earlier, just with the draws off the tee and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it's still a golf course. There's a ball in the hole, and you need every shot. So if you prepare like you do for every other tournament, you'll be good.
Do you find yourself thinking about some of the particular shots on the course, though? Like, the tee shot on 16, where you got to hit your drive on 2, just the step where you got to leave your shot coming into 7, where, depending on where the pin is. Are you that way inclined, or you sort of half answer the question, but I wonder whether you do in your quiet moments, once you get within a fortnight of the thing, whether you start to, oh yeah, that shot, I love, or I don't like playing that shot. Do those thoughts creep into your mind at all?
Yeah, definitely. None of the shots that you mentioned, but
well, which are the shots then? What are the shots?
It's funny because all the shots you just mentioned, you're just happy to hit the fairway. The fairway is so narrow on 7, or the fairway is very narrow on 7. Anywhere on the fairway there, and you're happy. 2, you're happy if you're on the fairway. 16 is there's not a whole lot to it. You just got to know where not to miss it to certain pins. But the shots I think about are probably the tee shot on 10 is I fade the ball off the tee, and that's like if you can hook it 40 yards, that's what you got to do there.
Yes.
And then the tee shot on 13, which is another one where you've got to hit the big hook off the tee with a 3-wood. Try and keep it down the left because it's a flatter lie. Knowing that if you don't hook it and you're in the pine straw up top, it's you're definitely laying up. So it's probably more the holes where I have to draw it off the tee. 2, I can hit a fade. 7, I can hit a fade. Not so much those ones. But the thing with Augusta is a lot of the greens, you've got to be shaping it into the hills. So 14, for instance, so you're trying to hit a draw into that green, but the ball's below your feet, so you're trying to hit a draw off a fade lie. So that's what it does all the time. 13, the second shot there, the ball's normally at least a foot above your feet, and it's going to draw off there, but you have to start it over the water on the right to draw it into the green. So it's ball striking is very important, but even if your ball striking is good, your short game's got to be just spot on.
So, man, I know you didn't have your A game perhaps in Austin last week, but it looks like, I have not been there yet, but it looks like a hilly course. Doesn't look like a lot of flat lies. Is that a fair comment? Like it would help you to Augusta? Because what people can't see on television is there is not one traditional flat lie at Augusta National, is there?
No, there's not. And that's what I had an interview before this one, and I was just talking about that, how, playing in Austin last week certainly helps with just kind of refreshing your memory of how different shots react off different lies. A lot of the lies we play off are flat-ish. Augusta, there's, you always got the, 1 foot above the other, or you're, squatting down to try and hit it from below your feet, or feel like you're swinging a baseball bat. Just every shot is something to it. So, just hitting shots there off different lies was really good for me. I feel like I played decent there. My good stuff was good enough to win anywhere, but I just threw in too many bad shots. Mate, so just got to, hone that in a little bit.
Do you feel like you've got the capacity now, given your success of the last few years, to taper towards this event or any major championship or any other championship that you feel like you need to really knuckle in on? I guess back when you first qualified, was it 2010 maybe, for the Masters, you're probably just in awe of getting there and who cares what you do in the lead-up. Do you find yourself picking and choosing a better path towards it now, and other majors for that matter?
Yeah, definitely. My first Masters, or anyone's first Masters, I feel like it's just so busy. I think we had 12 people in the house we rented. It was more of a party than it was a golf tournament. And then since then, I've really, try to just have as few people as possible in the house, just treat it like a normal event, not wear myself out early in the week, because it's really easy to do that around there because, it's Augusta National, you want to play there as much as you can. You're like, I want to play Monday and then play on Tuesday and play Wednesday, and then you're worn out before the tournament starts. So I feel like preparation is important. But, there's a lot of different factors to playing well there. Obviously you need to be playing well, but you need to not let the wind changes and all that affect you too much, because it swirls around a lot there. It's hilly, the trees are really tall, and the wind's all over the place. So it's easy to lose, have your head come off.
You just mentioned, Leish, about trying to conserve your energy, playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What's this tournament going to look like for you? Do you play the par 3 comp? How many practice rounds, or what's your plan for this one?
Yep. So my wife and kids would kill me if I didn't play the
the par 3.
So we do that. Yeah, definitely the par 3.
Yeah.
We fly in Sunday afternoon,
Okay.
So I'll see how my body feels Sunday. I'll might go out and play 9 Sunday afternoon. Then I'll probably play 9 Monday, just 9 every day pretty much. Just because, it's probably the one course for the year that you know exactly where all the trouble is and you know where you've got to be for every shot. So it's more having your short game good. So a lot of short game practice, a lot of putting practice, but conserving energy. So it's all about practicing smart that week. Every week is about practicing smart, but particularly that week because the practice facilities are so good. It's easy to just spend all day out there.
Yeah, sure.
You just let time get away from you. So, I'll probably try and limit it to half a day at the course each day and then just try and relax. My kids are going to be down there and wife, so we'll, spend time with the kids, just be a dad. And it's nice when they're there because I can come off the golf course and just forget about golf.
Get away from it.
Which is what I need to do.
Yeah. Have you got those tailored little cute white overalls, mate, for the kids?
Yeah, they're all ready to go. We've got the tailored, the white overalls with the Leishman on the back, and then we've had boxes arriving this week with green shoes for them.
How good
all sorts of stuff happening. So it's going to be, we're playing with Tony Fee now in the Par 3 tournament, who's got 4 kids.
Wow.
So my 3 kids, he's 4 kids.
Big group.
And Cameron Smith. So Cameron Smith might not ever want to have kids after
People might be asking whose kid's he? Like, is he one of yours?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hopefully there's no bloodshed. The boys could end up belting each other.
I hope the good people of the Green Jackets don't mind me saying this, and I say it with absolute affection and respect. But Leish, it's like Disneyland in golf, isn't it? It's like when you go through the gates there and you walk into the place. Describe the joy and the happiness that for you it's about winning the tournament, but for the first time you walk in and the kids and the family and just how magical the place is. Do you still get that buzz every time you go back there?
Yeah, it is, and I think they would love hearing you say that. As a kid, that's the dream is to go to Disneyland. Well, as a golfer, the dream is to go to Augusta National. And, I'm lucky because I've played there a lot of times. And it's, when you drive in there the first time each year in Magnolia Lane, it still, stands the hair up on the back of your neck. But, now, because I've played there so much, it's more just a golf course and I'm looking at, where I want to hit it, where I don't want to hit it and making sure my game's good. So I feel like that's an advantage. Guys who it's their first year, I can see how it is overwhelming because it certainly was for me my first year. But no, it's such a cool spot. They do everything so well. They treat the players well. They treat the fans well. They treat the media well. It's just everything about it is really good, and they don't they don't rip everyone off. I think it's $1.50 for a sandwich, and cheap beers, cheap soft drinks, all that. So
Hazy's going to love it then.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Leish, a hard one and an easy one. Take your pick. Which order you want them?
Oh, I'll go the hard first.
All right, mate. I would imagine that most people would say, if having not played Augusta, that your scores would be better on the back nine because you would just gobble up the par fives, and if you hang on at 10 and 11, you're away. Not like me, but I actually did some research last night.
What's going on with you?
I know, it's very unlike me. 14 rounds at Augusta National, Leish. What do you reckon you are on the back nine?
Oh, geez, I was about 20 over on it last year. I remember I made an 8 or a 9 on 15. I'd be, probably over par on the back nine, I reckon. And, I'd be over par on both of them, I would think. But I've probably played the back worse. I'm pretty aggressive and maybe need to hone that in on the par fives this year.
So
I've played the back worse.
You're correct. 4 over on the front nine through 14 rounds and 18 over on the back nine, which astounded me. And I was looking at all the individual hole scores, and I get that 10 and 11 are brutal, particularly 11. But it really surprised me that you haven't gobbled up the 13 and 15, and for that matter, 18, the way you can hit that'll fade up the tunnel. Is that something you're thinking about as you prepare?
Well, the thing about 13, it's a big hook off the tee, and then, I generally go for the green if I'm anywhere near it. So that's not surprising. 15 is very tough. That second shot, such a small target. And then if you lay up, it's probably an even harder wedge shot. So, it's hard. 18 does surprise me. But that's, a pretty narrow shoot. That looks very narrow on TV. And when you're there, it doesn't look any wider. So
it's unbelievable.
It is a demanding course because everywhere that you bail out, for instance, on 11, right on 11, that's a really, really tough chip. You'd think hitting away from the water would be a good thing to leave yourself a chip, but you're in a big valley and then chip into the green run on the way towards the water. So that's tough. And the bail out on 15's long, then it's, I hit the best chip shot I've ever hit there. Probably the best shot I've ever hit on Saturday, the year Scotty won. And I was about probably 5 paces off the back edge of the green. Pin was just in the middle and it went to about 15 feet. But I thought it was going to finish on the back edge of the green from over the back, and it stopped on the front fringe.
Wow.
So it's just everywhere you bail out, you've got a hard shot. So you can't bail out anywhere, which I think that's what makes that place really good. Especially, you got to be mentally strong to not bail out.
All right, I've made you weak at the knees. Now something to encourage you, because the history will tell you that you don't win the Masters until you've had a couple of losses. I think it's Fuzzy Zeller and maybe the first couple, the only times that people have gone around and won it early.
Yep.
You've had your name on the leaderboard not only in 2013, which we all remember, but you blazed out of the blocks. I think the following year, maybe. You've seen your name at the top of those magnificent white boards. That I put to you that has to be a good thing when you roll up there again this year.
Yeah, it is definitely. It's obviously a goal to have your name at the top of that board, Sunday night. But yeah, to see it there early in the week, it's pretty cool. I was lucky in 13 to pretty much be up there all week. Obviously didn't finish that off the way I want to, but it's just I feel more comfortable now than what I, leading, I guess, tournaments. Last year I led quite a few tournaments. I was lucky enough to win a couple, but I feel like the more you get yourself into that position, the easier it gets to handle it, and hopefully I'll be dealing with all those things next week.
Nice. Leish, you mentioned Cam Smith before, and obviously him cementing his spot in the field last week. And you mentioned him. You're going to play the par 3 with him. Is he sort of someone you tuck under your wing a little bit as one of the younger guys to look to help him out a little bit?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Cam. More friend than mentor, I feel like. But great friends with his caddy. I like the way he goes about things. And then if he's ever got any questions, he asks me. We're good enough friends that he does that. So
yeah,
it's cool to help other people, and he's probably 10 years younger than me. Hopefully he'll have a long career, and it's not, like I say, it's nice to be able to help the young guys.
Yeah.
Big fella, you just getting away from golf for a moment. The footy season started back here last weekend on Thursday night, and a certain team got off to a reasonable start, winning by 26 odd points against a team that will go past. It'll give the other team, the team that got beaten, will give the team that won Winburn in the next couple of years. I've got no doubt about that. But you don't mind the Tigers, do you? You're a bit of a Richmond supporter, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been a Richmond supporter my whole life.
So are you annoying the crap out of everybody still who wants to talk footy with you? Are you one of those Richmond supporters who whacks a DVD of the grand final on when people come around to the house and suddenly you've got your phone rings changed on your phone to the Richmond theme song? Are you one of those annoying? Do you get the Dusty Martin haircut at any stage? What have you been doing?
I don't think that would look too good on me, the Dusty Martin haircut. No, actually, I still haven't seen the full game. I've seen the first half. But yeah, I still haven't seen the whole game, which is something I've got to do. I need to get that DVD at some point.
We might bring one over for you.
Yeah. So but yeah, obviously, proud of them guys. It's been a rough few years, but just great to. It's just awesome to see that they, put all that aside and played to win in that all of last year. So it's nice to see all the hard work that Damien Hardwick's put in, and obviously all the players putting everything into it and getting their rewards. So hopefully they can keep doing the same stuff this year, and hopefully the results will follow.
Mate, I can't imagine Audrey liking the Dusty too much, so I'd rock with that opinion for a while. How is she, mate, for everyone back here who cares about her, and also tell us a little bit about how the Begin Again Foundation's trucking for you.
Yeah, she's going great. She's it's actually 3 years tomorrow from when she was put into the coma, so it's been big milestone for her. She's pretty close to back to her old self. Things are great. Healthy, she's healthy. Kids are healthy, and then like you said, the Begin Again Foundation, which is our foundation, that really, I'll say it filled a hole in her life. She's always wanted to help people, and she wanted to be a social worker when she was in college and all that, and help others. Then she kind of met me and, got a bit sidetracked, and, this really opened up a door to be able to help people. And it's really, like I say, it's completed her, and she's loving, all the fundraising work and just, helping people. So, we've helped, I think, about 1,500 families in about the 2 years that we've helped. We've raised just over $1 million total. So, awesome. It's just cool to be able to, just to help people that aren't as fortunate as we are, and that helps them and makes us feel good as well. So it's a win-win. Isn't
that awesome? I mean, you see the sacrifice that she's made for your career, and that's part that sort of comes with the territory, I reckon. And you know that she's made that sacrifice, and then she goes through what she goes through, and then she finds this thing. And I mean, you just enunciated that amazingly. She finds this thing that is great for her. That's great for her, but for you, that must be brilliant to see your wife find something that just does for her what it clearly does.
Yeah, it does. You obviously you want your loved ones to be happy, and we certainly were that before. But I feel like everyone's got a reason to be here, and I feel like my reason is to be a dad. Her reason is to help people. So this has really helped her to just, I guess, it's just completed her. That's probably the best way to put it. We were both very happy beforehand, but this is really the icing on the cake, and hopefully it can just keep getting bigger and bigger and help more families.
That's awesome.
As time goes on.
That's great. It's great, and you've described it perfectly. Hey, we'll let you go. Just a couple of quick ones. We're obviously looking forward to Augusta, but we've been talking on this show about the next 18 months we've got to look forward to in Australia, and I know you're hopefully going to be a major part of it with the World Cup. 2 huge events in Melbourne, obviously the World Cup, and then 12 months after the President's Cup. You've got a lot of golf to play and a lot of big ticket things to look forward to between now and then, but I imagine those 2 events loom pretty large on your schedule. Yeah, for sure. To represent Australia at Metropolitan would be huge, a huge honour again. Hopefully, I can finish off this year really well, really strong, and be on that team. And then the President's Cup at Royal Melbourne. It's great that it's back there again. The internationals, we really need to pull our fingers out and play well this year. So hopefully we can win that cup, or at least give them a good run for their money. But we're certainly with Ernie as the captain, we're really excited for that to try and win that cup back. It's been in the Americans' hands for way too long.
I would imagine Ernie a little bit, Leish. Have you spoken to him about that? Are you pumped for it specifically because he's the new captain?
Yeah, I have spoken to him about it. He was probably, him and Greg Norman were my idols growing up, and to be on a team under him would be huge. Certainly a big goal of mine over the next couple of years is to be on that team and hopefully be a big part of that team. Try and do knock off the Americans. But yeah, it'd be great to play under him and just to get to spend more time with him. He's such a good bloke and someone that I've looked up for my whole life. So it's exciting for everyone that's a chance to get on the team, I think.
You can only play one course. The boys and I went down for our regular annual golf tournament 2 weekends ago down at Port Fairy and got blown off the joint, but it was magnificent. You can only play one course for the rest of your life, Marc Leishman, Port Fairy or Warrnambool. Which one do you play?
I'd play Warrnambool just for that reason because I don't really like playing Port Fairy when it's windy.
He has to say that, I think.
It's pretty windy at Warrnambool, doesn't it?
I actually got asked that before. They're both so good in different ways. They're different every time you play them, and just completely different. Like, Port Fairy's a complete link style, Warrnambool's not. But, Mum and Dad live across the road. I've got so many good memories at Warrnambool. It'd have to be Warrnambool.
Good man. We can't wait to see you tee it up. We're going to be lucky enough to be over there, Hazy and I, and a couple of others bringing it all back live to Australia on the radio, which is, brilliant to be part of that. Leish, hopefully on Monday morning, our time over here, again, you're right in the mix and Australians are hanging on the edge of their seats as Leishman's got a big putt on 18 to do something pretty special. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thanks for giving us so much of your time today.
Yep, no worries at all. Good talking to you guys.
Good on you. Marc Leishman joining us on Inside the Ropes.
Hi, this is Sherelle McMahon. Swing Fit is the fun, healthy, social way for women to get started in golf. You'll learn the basics of the golf swing and how to putt over a 6-week program and get your whole body moving through yoga and Pilates-style exercises. You don't need any golf knowledge or equipment. Simply turn up in comfy clothing and get started. You'll be surrounded by like-minded people and receive constant support. So get outdoors, meet new friends and learn a sport that you can play for the rest of your life. To find a program near you, visit swingfit.com.au.
G'day, it's Nick O'Hearn here. Whenever I get the chance, I catch up with Inside the Ropes to follow up on all the latest golf, and I urge you to all do the same. It's a great show.
Welcome back to Inside the Ropes. There's a lot of golf to look forward to. We've been banging on about what happened last week and Marc Leishman and what's in front of him with the Masters just around the corner. But for the women, Stace, it all happens this week. The first of the majors, the ANA Inspirations underway this week, and we've got a lot to look forward to. Strong Australian representation, and one of those is going to be Sarah Jane Smith, who's been good enough to join us on the show. Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for having me.
How much are you looking forward to the first really big one of the year?
Yeah, no, I love this place. It's a really nice way to get the year started off with the majors. And I struggled last week with the greens last week, and this week here at ANA are probably the best greens we play all year. So it's something to look forward to, which is nice.
Is it nice just to be able to know that you're in these fields and not have to worry about it like you perhaps once did?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's something that I think some girls that maybe haven't been through that definitely take for granted. And once you've been in that position where, trying to qualify for events or doing US Open qualifiers, when you don't have to, it never, that feeling of satisfaction never leaves, I think.
And how do you feel coming into this week, Sarah? How's your form?
Good. No, it's been a bit of a weird start. I felt like I've been hitting the ball well, but just haven't been scoring and just making some pretty dumb mistakes and just not getting in a good flow. But I actually I got a flight scope a couple of weeks ago and really only sort of got it just for distances, like just for wedge distances and things like that. And I've already noticed like an enormous difference, especially last week. Like we have there's a couple of short par fives, and it was the first time where I really felt good about my wedge game in a long time. So that was a really, really good positive coming into this week. So
you really are getting up with the technology, SJ.
I have no idea how to do it. Someone puts it up for me, and then this big number pops up on the screen, and I know it. That's about all I know what's going on.
What made you?
I don't want to know, actually.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good thing. But what made you look into something like that?
Well, Dwayne really, he's been trying to get me to get something. There's quite a few of them now, and Flightscope have an amazing program where they really look after their tour pros. So I was fortunate enough to get on the program that they have, and it's great. I really, I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, but it's my new practice buddy. So
nice.
Sarah, you've been out there for a long time now, or for a while now, and you've just sort of been flying under the radar. But that seemed to change a bit towards the end of last year when you had that really strong finish to the season. How much confidence will you take through the next phase of your career, given the strength of your finish to the season last year?
Yeah, no, it's been coming along slowly. I guess I'm a late bloomer, but no, it's funny because I'm well and truly a veteran out here now. They say, which is a bit concerning. But it happens and it happens. Everybody matures differently, I suppose, and it's taken me a lot longer than some girls. But I probably could have done a few things differently along the way. But I'm really proud of what Dwayne and I have done together to have gotten here. I'm just looking forward to hopefully being a little smarter than we've been at the start of this year and getting some good results. So.
I remember at the time you were talking about some kind of tempo changes that you'd made to your swing, and just reading between the lines, it felt like you might have kind of unlocked something in terms of that. Did I read that accurately, and have you kind of stuck with that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, even so I've been working back with Sean Foley for a little over 2 years, but we worked together for 4 years years ago. But every coach I've worked with has always been trying to slow me down, and I just haven't ever figured out quite the right way to do it. And then probably it was just before Asia last year, just before the end of the season, where I had a FaceTime with Sean and we kind of figured something out, and it's made a massive difference. I mean, obviously tempo is a huge part of the game, and for me, especially when I get fast, so it's just given me time to get things right, so which has made a massive difference.
SJ, you mentioned Dwayne a few times, Dwayne being your husband and caddy. How do you make that work so well? He's obviously been your caddy since day dot. And I know I've been lucky enough to have Daz caddy for me quite a lot, and I've always found the good quite good and the bad really bad.
G'day, Daz.
But how have you been able to manage that?
I mean, it's definitely not easy, and I mean, you've done it, so you know better than anybody. But I mean, we have our bad days for sure. But I think we're lucky in the fact that we're both relatively calm, but we still have our moments. And I know that Dwayne always wants the best of me, but sometimes he literally can say the dumbest things. Like he has the key to, well, not the key. He knows how to push my buttons. Let's say.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, Dwayne.
But, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, we. I think that the days that are hard, definitely the days that are good outweigh them, and doing it together has been the reason why, this is our 13th year, and I'm not sure I could have done it this whole time by myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I know I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. So to have done it together and travel together, and it's just made everything that little bit more special. So I think even though sometimes it's not easy, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So Sarah Jane, and this is as much to you as to Dwayne, and both. It's a combination thing. I put it to you that you shoot enough good scores to be in a top 10 player in the world, but you have a round or a 2-hour period or whatever that diminishes your finish at some point in a week. So instead of finishing T3, you finish T17, for example.
Yeah.
Who puts their hand up here and say, like, I've just had a bogey, I can't have a second bogey, I can't have a double bogey. How do you guys counteract that?
Well, to be honest, I don't think we've figured it out yet, because I've put a lot of weeks together of 3 really good rounds, or even just like you said, just a couple of hours of bad golf in a tournament, and I feel like it's been the difference between if I can figure that out, that's the difference between a decent finish and possibly a win. So I think it's got a lot to do with my short game, and we've been working really hard on that. I generally hit a lot of greens, and those bogeys that I'm making or mistakes, they're generally pretty soft. that I don't get myself in too much trouble. So the bogeys that I'm making aren't really, they're not good bogeys. And I know that's like a weird thing to say, but they're usually pretty weak. So we've been trying to work on that and get that a bit tidied up.
So is it a mechanical thing or a mental thing? Like, do you actually can you assess that and go, oh my God, that was a soft bogey, that was awful, or a bad 3-putt from 20 feet or something? Do you go, right, I really, really need to knuckle down on this next hole?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's something that's the difference between where I'm at now and where I'd like to be. I hit enough good shots to be winning golf tournaments, but I'm not, my bad shots aren't bad enough to be making the amount of bogeys that I make. And from week to week, I make enough birdies. When you look at how many birdies the winners are making, I'm making enough a lot of the week. So those soft bogeys, I mean, it comes down to a lot of short game, I think. I've been working. I feel like I'm a good putter, but I've been, I think in those moments where when I have to make a putt, those are the putts that I'm not making. So I've been working hard. Actually, another rhythm thing, another tempo thing. I've been doing some stuff with the metronome and trying to really get that to a point where I feel confident throughout my putting, and hopefully that'll be the difference going forward.
I don't want people to think that I'm sitting here riding you and giving you the gears, because I actually think the opposite. I actually think you play good enough golf to be a world top 10 player, and I absolutely want that for you. So I don't want people to think that I'm giving you a hard time.
No, not at all. I mean, that's where we're at the moment. I'm playing good enough golf, but it's just that little bit that's holding me back. So if we can figure that out, then that will be the next step, I think. So.
Well, it certainly looks like you're heading in the right direction. We're all behind you over here, and every golf fan in Australia follows your fortunes alongside the other girls on the big tours over in Europe and America, Sarah Jane. We really appreciate you joining us on the eve of the A&A at Rancho Relaxo, as Hazy calls it. We'll be watching with great interest, Sarah Jane Smith. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
For regular listeners to the podcast, you'll know that Bryden Macpherson, who's a very, very gifted young Australian professional, has been good enough to volunteer to sort of take us on his journey a bit this year, Hazy and Stace. We're going to touch base with Bryden, who's currently over in China, on his journey through the ranks, and hopefully as part of this journey we're going to see him get to where he wants to go. And he's not just your average tour player, Bryden Macpherson. He thinks about the game and some of the aspects of being a professional sports person, beyond cuts and money's made and all of that sort of stuff. And we catch up with him again, and he joins us on the show. Bryden, thanks for your time again, mate.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Just before we get going, we spoke to you a couple of weeks ago, and I think on the way through, whether it was on air or off air, we were having a chat about, kind of diet and, the kind of holistic way of preparing to be the best you can possibly be. One of our colleagues here, Bryden, a man you know pretty well, Mark Hayes, is crook at the moment, and he's saying that as part of his remedy and rehabilitation from a cold, he needs to drink Pepsi Max to coat his throat, is what he said. Now, as somebody who understands getting the best out of your body and being, elite, have you ever heard anything quite so stupid?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of this remedy.
Right.
Orange juice can help, but Pepsi Max not so much. But someone's got to buy Pepsi Max. I don't know who else buys it. So.
It is Pepsi Max though. It's not full strength.
There's no sugar. Yeah. And Bryden, in all your time dealing with journalists, have you ever heard a more leading question than that?
No, I don't think so.
Come on, I'm sure you have.
First.
I'm sure you have. Hey, before we get on to where you're going and where you're at the moment with your golf, like where you've been playing and where you're going to be playing next, you write these really interesting blogs, and under the headline of the Unseen Athlete, which is what it's called, the Mindful and Relentless Athlete, is the latest one that you posted. In our time on Wednesday morning, you posted it about 14 or 15 hours ago. You talk about this concept of kind of trying not to try. This thing that a lot of people try and get into the heads of sports people. Just just try not to try so hard. And, the more you back off in that regard, and you just let the talent come through and the performance kind of shine, you'll be fine. Explain that notion as far as you understand it.
Well, as I touched on in the blog that I posted yesterday, it's not really something that you can explain very well. It's sort of something more that you have to internalize and understand, not as something that you can really get across to other people, but more something that you can just feel. And it's a really difficult concept to talk about because, as I sort of touched on in my blog, that there's not really one answer. Everyone is going to have a slightly different understanding of what it's like to sort of work their way into, being ready to get into that flow and that zone, and then actually taking the plunge and letting go, and then staying in it. It's so difficult. Golf is kind of sits on its own with other sports because, other sports you have a little bit of a correlation between how hard you try and how well you do. Sports like, even in Australia, AFL and NRL, there's a real sort of grit, sort of get in there and get after it. But in golf, it's more the opposite. It's almost as if the less that you try, the better you do, which is one of the reasons why I think you don't see people playing consistently well over years and dominating the sport for years, because it's such a hard balance to strike.
I find this concept fascinating for golf because we play with blokes of a very limited ability, and you can see them when they get under pressure. They grip the club tighter. They swing at it harder. They make it's all so counterintuitive. Golf. It's one of those games, Bryden, that what you think you should be doing is the exact kind of opposite of what you should be doing.
Absolutely. It's you hit down on the ball more to make it go higher. And then the less that you try, the better that you do. The more you swing freely, the further you hit it. The smoother you swing it, the further you hit it. And that's one of the reasons why golf is so difficult, among all the other reasons. But it was really interesting coming across those two books, Relentless by Tim Grover and Mindful Athlete by George Mumford. And it was completely by chance. And that book by Tim Grover was unbelievable. Like, as far as motivation goes, it's unbelievable to hear what, these guys, MJ and Kobe and all them, did in the gym, and how they approach life, and how all they can think about is being the best, and the work to them is irrelevant because they just want to be the best. But then the other side of that, having someone come in and teaching them, to sit there and be quiet and listen to listen to their soul, really, and how to get in that flow state was really amazing. And it was great to I was sort of reading both these books with this smile on my face, thinking, I can't believe that I found both these books and about the same thing from two completely different perspectives.
So let me ask you.
It really helps me. Go on.
Can I keep going?
No, go on.
So
no, I'm just saying that it sort of, yeah. Go on, Mate.
So this concept that you're talking about, there's a practical application to something that we've already spoken about with Sarah Jane Smith on today's show, Bryden, and she was talking about getting tempo into her putting stroke in particular. And she was talking about she's been working on this kind of metronome, this thing that a lot of you guys do, the timing of the thing. Right. Yeah. So when you're in this flow state, and Stacey, this is to you as well, when do you stop thinking about it? Like, when you're practicing and it doesn't count for anything, you are thinking about, okay, it's all about the metronome. It's about the metronome. It's about the metronome. You're trying to get this rhythm in your head, right? But when you get to play and the shot counts, how do you stop thinking about that and just lock in to playing the shot.
Just letting go.
Just letting go.
I just believed so much that I had put in the hours on the practice. Like, I had put in so much time on that metronome that it should just happen out there.
It just becomes natural, right?
Yeah, but I would attempt to play a practice round without those thoughts as well. I'm not going to practice so much on my metronome, the minute before I'm going to the tee kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would have already attempted to let it happen in a practice. Easier said than done for sure.
That's the thing, isn't it, Bryden? Like, that's the thing, letting it go and not think about it. That's the thing. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Stacey's hit the nail on the head there. Like, and the question that you asked there, Mari, is pretty much the question that stands between everyone that's ever made it in sport and hasn't made it in sport. Really, like, there's so many people that have gifted physically and with gifted technique and have worked hard on their technique, but it's being able to perform is what separates people. So yeah, it's a very profound question. But yeah, that's the thing is you can practice something, you can try and put yourself under the conditions, like a competitive condition, but it's never going to be the same. But for me, what I try and do is when I compete, is you just realize that all of the competition and all of the meaning and all this stuff is just all made up in your head. And there's really no difference between a 10-footer on a practice green and a 10-footer to win a tournament. Even though there is a difference, if you can sort of minimize that, it's a lot easier to sort of let go and access that skill,
I feel like one of the ancient Romans talking to Aristotle here. I don't know if I'm sort of worthy of understanding all this.
I think you understand it. I think you understand it perfectly, Hazy.
Well, it's fascinating to me because
I reckon it's really interesting.
Like, I could hit 14 blocks and stand on the 15th tee, and I could actually say in my backswing, "Turn your fat ass." Right. And clearly that's not going to do a thing other than give my playing partners a giggle, perhaps.
Right.
Well, I mean, the best realization you can have as a golfer is to realize that nothing that has happened or can or is going to happen can affect your ability to hit the next shot perfectly.
Spot on.
And that's something if you can operate under that assumption, then there's no reason why you can't hit the next shot, whether it's on the first tee of a major, whether it's to win a major, whether it's with your buddies playing for $100, whatever it is, whether you've just hit 12 bad shots in a row or 14 blocks in a row, Hazy, or whether you've just hit 14 perfect shots in a row, there's nothing that has happened or can happen that can affect your ability to hit the next shot perfectly.
All right, I'm not mentally agile enough to ask you the appropriate follow-up questions, so I'm going to take a different tack.
Good. Yeah, that's good. Really interesting.
Mate, you spoke to us last from Florida before you set off for China, and you had lovely words to speak of your mother, and you said I assume you've left your girlfriend in Florida. I assume is where she is.
I have.
How do you did you speak to your mum? How do you deal with being away from your girl for so long? What's her name? Sorry, I should not just say your girl.
Her name's Christina.
And how do you reconcile being away? We've just spoken to Sarah Jane, who has a husband and on the bag and is with her every step of her life. You obviously don't have that luxury just at the moment.
No, Christina's also the same size as my golf bag, so she would have a hard time carrying it. She's done it before and done really, really well. But I think over a 4 or 5 week period, I might slowly start to grate away at the relationship. But yeah, I mean, it's hard being away from family. They're all in Australia, and it's tough. I think it's a little tougher on them than it is on me because I'm focused on stuff that's right in front of me, and that sort of helps distract me a little bit from missing them so much. And it's a tough thing with the relationship stuff. I had a chance to go home the last 2 weeks or a chance to stay in China and Monday qualify for the PGA Tour China events. And because my relationship's important to me, I chose to go home. I think stuff like that is important. And the only other thing that I try to do is when I'm on the road, it's, it's just the nature of the beast. It's got to be about me and about what I'm doing, same as any other golfer. And when I'm at home, it's all about her. And that's how you sort of balance it out. And I think if it's done well, I think it can work really well because, a good relationship is just it's like sitting by a fire. You sit too close for too long and you get burned. And,
that's an interesting way to put it.
If you sit too far
Bryden.
away, you can't feel the warmth. What's that?
No, that's an interesting way to put it about the fire. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of it goes for all kinds of relationships, so it's important to sort of also have a little bit of space to be able to do your own thing and not have to, be too close all the time, because you do run out of things to talk about and things like that. And I think it can be if used well, just like anything, if you use it well, and it can really be a good thing for your relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as professional golfer, you know what you're getting in for. You know you're going to have time away. It's all about you, and
yeah,
obviously, I think loved ones get that. They understand that.
Yeah, and you need to find the right one too. And someone that understands that. Not everyone does, and I've been lucky enough to find someone, and I think Stace has as well. So it's
very lucky. I locked him in last year, so.
Yeah.
So with the golf, mate, before we let you go, you played about a fortnight ago. Last time you teed it up in a tournament, tied 11th. Where you're playing this week? What's the next couple of weeks look like for you?
So this week is the Bow Owl Open. It's about an hour and a half up the road, still on Hainan Island from where we were 2.5 weeks ago. And then next week we got a week off, and then there's a Challenge Tour event in Kunming, and another China Tour event the week after in Kunming also. So 3 and 4 weeks, it'll be good. I've only played 2 events this year, and it'll be good to sort of get into some events. I played okay at the last tournament. It gave too many shots away from tee to green. Just play yourself out. Probably at least 7 or 8 shots over the tournament. Just didn't need to happen. And I finished 6 or so back of winning. So it's right there. Just got to, just like anything, you have a result and have a look at how you could do better, error correct, and then try and do better next time. Hopefully, it's not any more complicated than that.
Find the flow, mate. Find the flow and let it go. We wish you all the best. I find it fascinating listening to you. I'm not sure every golfer on the planet is thinking and reading the way you do and trying to apply that to your golf and your life. Good luck, mate, in the pursuit, and we'll touch base with you again in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Good on you,
Bryden.
Bryden Macpherson joining us on Inside the Ropes.
The Golf Australia website is now the place to go to look up your handicap and so much more. Whether you're out and about on your phone or in the office trying to avoid work, just go to golf.org.au and punch your golf link number into the box at the top of the homepage. Who knows, maybe that last round was just good enough to put you in single figures. While you're on the site, check out the daily golf results at your club, view our course index for up-to-date ratings, read the latest golf news from home and abroad, listen to Australian golf podcasts and interviews, and watch video tournament highlights or tips to improve your game. It's everything a golf tragic could want. Visit golf.org.au today, the home of Australian golf.
Peter Senior here. Really enjoy listening Inside the Ropes. Guys have always got something very interesting to talk about. Hope you enjoyed the program.
Welcome back to the show. There's been a bit to process on the way through there. I mean, Sarah Jane Smith going through what she's going through. We've had some depth in the program today. Marc Leishman suggesting that he's on this planet to be a dad, not necessarily to win major golf championships. And then Bryden Macpherson taking us very deep into an extended psyche of a professional sportsman.
I'm not worthy of listening to him, seriously.
I kid myself that I think I know what he's talking about, but I got no idea.
I pretend.
I did the same, Stace. Yeah. So hopefully, you've enjoyed that as much as we have. There's other bits and pieces we need to get through on the way to the wire. We talked about Cam Smith, qualifying, which was great. Bubba wins the thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, Bubba comes from nowhere and wins at Riviera about a month ago. There was some... I read now that there was some speculation at the time that he'd been unwell, he'd lost weight, that he was thinking about giving the game away. He wanted to focus on family more than golf and all the rest of it. Now he's won at Riviera. Now he wins at the match play, and he's suddenly into about 15-1 to win the Masters for a third time. Tell me, Hazy, we're not going to go over there, and with all due respect to the Watson, we're not going to see him win it, are we?
Pack your Gideons. Pack
We're
your
not, are
Gideons
we?
Bible. Yeah. Look,
he smashed Kevin Kisner in the final. It
Oh,
was
he
embarrassing.
Wasn't
what he
even
did
a
to
match,
Kisner.
was
No,
it?
it wasn't.
But
It
no.
wasn't. No.
But the only thing you can say about that, if you don't like Bubba, is that Kisner imploded. He made that many bogeys that it was more Bubba just amazingly being the consistent one on the course that helped him to such a huge victory. Bubba's just another storyline to this incredible Masters we've got unfolding before our eyes here. So a dual champion, there aren't many of them.
No.
And, you cannot stick a fork in him because he plays that
Can't write him off.
brutally harsh cut for a left-hander, which is exactly what we heard Marc Leishman talk
Spot
about
on, mate.
before with his draw for a right-hander. He's got all the shots you need. He starts instantly. He's playing a past 70 course. The way he hits the ball off the tee, because a couple of the par fives, namely the second and the 13th, he's in position with a mid-iron in.
Absolutely.
So he's playing them as average length par fours, and that is not a luxury afforded to most right-handers in that field. So you can't write him off because he's instantly, his par is 8 less than everyone else on the course.
Well, he comes in, Stacey, in as good a form as anyone in the tournament, having 2 wins in his last 4 starts. He comes in as hot as anybody now. I don't think he's playing in Houston.
No, he's
Stand
not.
to be corrected on
I
that.
don't think
No,
he
he
is.
was going. He was going on a vacation last night.
Yeah.
I was listening to an interview of his that you mentioned about him talking of giving golf away and stuff, and he said that golf wasn't his priority. He's got a couple of other businesses at the moment, and he had to keep reminding himself on the course last week to stay focused on golf. Stay focused on golf. And that was something him and his caddy had worked on a lot because, he said, I'm thinking of my family a lot and the other businesses I've got going on. Apparently one's a candy store.
Is that right?
Yeah. I need to look more into that.
So you spend too much time in the States because we call them holidays in Australia and we call them lollies. Okay? So drop the vacation and drop the candy right away, right?
I was listening to Bubba there. Okay?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, fair
I
enough.
think I'm still pretty Aussie.
I think you are too.
I just find it really hard to warm to him generally, and
Same.
when everyone else has a great backstory, and clearly if he wins a third Masters, heaven help us, he's going to have a big backstory. But when he sits there and says, I've had it so tough over the last handful of years, well, turn it up, Bubba.
And stop blaming. And every time you miss it, you know what? Whenever he misses a 3-footer, it's never his fault.
No.
Gets a bad read from his caddy, or there was something on the line that knocked his ball out of the hole. Like, he never cops it.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I just put a bad stroke, and he does put a lot of bad strokes on a lot of
does.
short putts over the journey. But he's a winner. He's a winner, and
one more thing about him. I read with interest how he played the Austin Country Club, because it's a course with a lot of reachable par fours for him. We saw Dustin Johnson crank out that ridiculous drive, 400 and I can't remember what it was, 480 yards, something stupid.
Standard.
Yeah, just bog standard. That Bubba actually barely hit a driver, so he played his 3-wood, which he's got great control over, sort of the same way as Henrik Stenson might. Played a lot of irons off tees, and he has got the power at his disposal with those slightly shorter clubs to still do that and stay in control at Augusta, where a lot of other players, especially off tees like 11 and the longer par 4s, 5, where other players have got to crank everything in their bag to have a mid-iron in. So he's got a lot of advantages coming up.
No doubt. The other big story out of the match play was the Ian Poulter situation. Now, I find it hard to feel sorry for him here because I do feel sorry for him. But he's got some information. Did he not get the information from the right source? He's claiming you get here, you're going to be in the top 50, finishes 51st. He teed it up in that quarterfinal thinking he's already in, which he clearly wasn't. Did he seek the advice from the right place, or is this such a movable feast in terms of the world rankings that we don't quite know ultimately where the numbers are going to fall because of so many other factors?
We spoke about earlier with Cam Smith.
Yeah.
All the different permutations and combinations that had to happen to make sure he was in. And he had a pretty good source. I'm led to believe it was the Golf Channel reporter who came to him. And I think from Ian Poulter's perspective, you'd probably sit there and go, oh,
great.
If a guy from the Golf Channel says I'm in, I'm in. Because they'd have a truckload of helpers out the back who presumably crunch the numbers. I should be right. Clearly, it's not up to the Golf Channel to tell him where he is in the official world golf ranking, so I do feel a bit sorry for him. But yes, he does need to check that. And I know for a fact that Cam Smith, knew exactly what he had in front of him. So he celebrated when Siwoo Kim went out because he knew he was in.
Yeah.
So, it's in. I feel sorry for him, but it is incumbent on him to actually know. Because it's Ben Everill, who we refer to on the show quite a bit, he could tell you absolutely anything at any stage about what impact this result or that putt will have on the world rankings. He can figure it out with a computer system that he has there. So it's very doable. I think it's incumbent on players on the bubble of these big time events that they need to know from a reliable source.
Stace, another LPGA Tour event, another Korean win. This is one of the more interesting players in the women's game, I reckon, not in terms of the demeanour out on the course, but in terms of her career trajectory and what she's done on the way through. Yoon Hee Ji. Have I got it right?
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
I'm very disappointed you didn't leave that to Stacey to have a crack at.
Anyway, it is Yoon Hee Ji.
Yeah.
She finishes with a hole-in-one deep in the final round.
Yeah, I think it was just after Christy Kerr had made birdie.
Yeah.
Gets within one, and then the next hole, I think it was the 14th.
Yeah,
comes
that's
with
right.
a hole in one. Just take that, Christy.
Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
She had her lead cut from 4-1 when she made the ace, and then she breasts the tape, really strong. This is an unbelievable career. I mean, she hasn't won very often. She won the US Open, I think, in her second year on tour in about 2009.
Yep.
And then she didn't win another tournament until last year, I think.
Late last year.
Yeah, the swinging skirts last year.
Yep.
And here she goes again, coming into this tournament. And her numbers haven't been great. In terms of finishing, just go back through her last 2 or 3 years. She had a couple of top 10 finishes, but she hasn't been sticking her nose in the frame all that often.
Yeah, I mean, obviously finding some form at the right time, heading into a major this week, and yeah, I mean, it was great to see last week. I don't personally know her at all, so I can't comment there. But it was nice to see Christy Kerr get done.
There you go.
There you go. Whack. I like that, Andy.
Well, why? What have you got against Christy Kerr?
No, nothing. I just. She's had a lot of victories, and
okay, right.
Yeah, no other comment.
I thought there might have been a story there, Stacey. You're going to break for us on Inside the Ropes.
I probably don't think she's the most popular girl out there, but
okay,
yeah,
there you go.
I think she's going to really warm to this microphone.
Oh no, I like it.
Series
I like it. Look at her just relax. Talk about Rancho Relaxo.
Anyway, I think we should touch on the hole-in-one and the fact that she got a car for that hole-in-one, and then got another car for the victory, plus her winner's check. So. Pretty solid week there.
270,000 she wins, plus a Sorrento for the hole-in-one and a Stinger, a Kia Stinger. Now, you're the Kia expert in the booth.
I am.
Which would you rather have, the Sorrento or the Stinger?
Well, it depends what phase of her life she considers herself in. If she's packing a family around Incheon, then maybe she should roll with the Sorrento. If she wants to sort of go on Route 66 and let her hair down, I think the Stinger's the way to go.
Right, no worries. LPGA, that was the LP. So we got the major to look forward to this week, which is terrific. Any other?
We've got 5 Aussies in the field this week for the ANA. So
yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
And I had a good chat with Richie Smith before the tournament, and he's really comfortable with where both Minjee Lee and Hannah Green are. And you actually heard Sarah Jane speak earlier about how the course suits them, and Richie sort of reinforced that some Australian bounce about the course. And for Hannah Green in her major championship debut, it's really important to have that sort of almost homely feeling. And I think she's really going to go as well as she has all year. I don't think there's any reason to doubt that the nerves will get her. So Hannah Green, Minjee Lee, Suo, Catherine Kirk, and of course Sarah Jane. So a big contingent. It's fantastic to see so many Aussie women in the majors.
No Kari Webb.
Yeah, it's obviously interesting to see her sitting out this one, and yeah, I think she's still in Australia at the moment. But yeah, I think obviously she's going to play a very limited schedule this year, and she wanted to skip this one. It's an event she really, really enjoys, so I think she wanted to see if she really is missing it, when she's sitting out this week. So interesting way to go about it, but yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think we probably forgot to mention it last week. She did get a special invitation from the USGA to the US Women's Open in a couple of months' time. So
to play her 23rd in a row.
Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Isn't that extraordinary?
That's phenomenal. It really is. Hey, at the other end of the spectrum, Becky Kay, we were having a chat about her off air.
Yeah, I mean, she's in some unbelievable form at the moment. Interesting story with Becky, actually. She got the end of her finger chopped off in the boot of a car by her boyfriend at the time, late last year. And had to
Is that what ended the relationship?
Well, I don't know. Actually, we'll have to speak to Becky about that.
Okay, right.
But she missed like two and a half months of golf, like zero golf, zero practice. And so that was the end of last year, and now has come into some great form. Won Riversdale Cup, then won South Australian Stroke Play, and is currently, as we record now, leading WA Stroke Play to go 3 in a row.
Gee, that's big, isn't it?
So at the pointy end of the season for the girls.
Absolutely.
I had a very brief chat with her, and she made reference to the fact that she's come through with Karis Davidson.
Yep.
And she could see Karis Davidson immediately vault into the final group at the Vic Open and get her card in Japan. I think she can see that if you do knuckle down and really put your nose to the wheel here.
Absolutely. Both the girls are coming through the QAS program. I think that's got to be very motivating for Becky, to see what Karis has done through that program as well. Yeah.
PGA Tour, did it go? Was it Dominican Republic for the first time ever? Is it the first time? It is, which is noteworthy.
It had been a web event previously, and now it's got the promotion.
So Bryce Garnett wins his first ever PGA Tour title, which is remarkable. Wins by 4. Jeff Ogilvy. We don't spend a lot. We spend more time talking about Jeff now as a course designer and his bigger picture thoughts on the game. But look, he's been beaten by 10, but tie 22. He was in sort of just on the edge of being in the mix through kind of the middle stage of the tournament. He's still clearly very competitive. It's still there for Jeff Ogilvy if he ever decides that for one last time I'm going to. And I think that horse is bolder in terms of him committing completely and totally. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, to the grind of week in, week out PGA Tour life, but he's still competitive.
I think he realised, Andy, when he flirted with losing his card, what it still meant to him.
Yeah.
He wasn't prepared to just walk away, shove the sticks in the garage for 10 years and come and play seniors, in 2026 or whenever. So he's still got that fire in his belly, and what he loves doing more than anything is going out and playing at Kingston Heath tomorrow and taking $20 off you.
Yeah, right.
So he's still got that, that element of what made him like golf in the first place still is attractive to him. He still loves the sport. So I think, if he can find that week where everything clicks, because I think he still hits the ball as well as ever, he's probably just got to find that putting groove.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've seen the end of him yet.
We haven't seen the end of David McKenzie. Talk about the old boys on the Champions Tour. He was a shot off the lead with about 4 or 5 holes to go. Steve Stricker wins at 11 under the card. Dave McKenzie on the PGA Champions Tour finishes 3rd, 8 under the card, 3 back. It's fantastic. This is a guy who has had grass allergies and, he's had... and it's hard to play professional golf if you've got a grass allergy. That doesn't help. But I don't know too many... In my time watching golf, this guy he was there from just about when I started watching golf, Dave McKenzie, and he's still committed to the game. He plays pro-ams here and he gets out on the global tour there. And any success that comes Dave McKenzie's way is absolutely and thoroughly earned, I reckon. He deserves anything that he gets at any stage of his professional career, this bloke.
I wholeheartedly concur, and I carried him to Andy at the Curlewis Pro-Am last year. I think we had 48 points, and I got my name on the card once.
Right. Okay.
So, and I really...
So his back's in good order then?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no problems with that. Yeah,
no, just to your point, that he applies the same intensity at Curlewis Pro-Am that he does on a Champions Tour.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to him to have that mindset for so long. A really nice bloke like Dave. We should get him on.
He'd be great. Yeah, absolutely we should, particularly after that. I mean, this opens up a world of possibilities to a guy who's still competitive and, playing well.
So and he loves a natter.
Curtis Luck, web.com, in the mix, shoots 77 on the last round. Anyone can do that. Come to the best players on the planet. I mean, he was threatening to win the thing at one stage, the Argentinian Julian Tullian. How come I going with that?
Well, it sounds a bit French rather than Spanish, but...
Go on, give me the Spanish version.
No, I just think it's Italian.
Italian. That's much better. See, that's better. You're much more travelled than I am.
Yeah.
Jamie Arnold was the best of the Aussies. Curtis Luck, 69, 65, 70 was looking a real chance. 77 on the Sunday, but we keep an eye on him, don't we? He's one that we're all very interested to see.
Curtis, I reckon, is something brewing.
So do I.
Yeah,
there's been good signs.
Yeah, he cut up the third round in the PGA Tour event the week before. He showed signs, obviously, this week. And look, is it next week? Is it the week
after?
He'll
get it together.
Yeah, it's coming real soon.
It's something. Hazy and Stace, Tony Romo, who we love. We love Tony Romo. Great commentator.
Good commentator.
He's a better commentator than he was quarterback. He's an elite commentator.
For those who don't know, this is the guy who sort of had the responsibility of quarterbacking, obviously, the Dallas Cowboys around the NFL for a handful of years, probably 10 or 12 years. And
he did a reasonable job.
He was good, not great.
Yeah, good, not great. Great commentator. The celebrity golfer who gets these starts in PGA Tour events. He got his start, missed the cut, 77.82, finished 28 shots off the lead, 15 back from the cut line. Now, I don't mind the notion of this. I don't mind the concept of the Steph Currys and the Tony Romos being gifted spots in these fields from a promotional perspective. If it means they're going to get 10,000 people through the gate that they might not otherwise have got to the event, and it's going to bring a bit of publicity to the event, so be it. But is that good? Is that good when they finish as poorly and as off the mark as Tony Romo did?
Yeah, I mean, I can see the idea of it. I'm personally not a fan of it. I'm just not. That's what a Pro-Am's for. That's when those guys can come and play. Okay, maybe you won't get as many numbers coming to watch a Pro-Am. I get that, but that's I can feel Hazy's not on my page here, but that's what a Pro-Am's for. Yep.
And the argument for that is that he's taking money out of a pro's pocket.
Or taking an opportunity away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I put it to you, Stace, that the
Give it to me, Hazy.
144th player in that field is not going to win that event.
Maybe.
But he might have more of a chance.
Might make the cut.
Yeah.
It might be really important to what he does.
Like, do we think he ever had a chance to make the cut? Do we think he did?
Let's not forget here, Tony Romo's a scratch marker.
Okay.
And I think it shows you two things. He's a scratch golfer. We all think, once you get to scratch, you can be a pro. Well, nothing's further from the truth. Because all the good pros, men's and women's, around the world, if they went back to clubland and practiced, they'd be off +6, +7, +8. So let's get that notion out of our heads. But what I will say against the pro, and I love all the guys who are battling to try and make the field. I love them all. But ultimately, what Tony Romo's done is given that event a profile and hopefully another sponsor and a purse that's higher. Not only this year, but the following years.
I can definitely see that side of it. It's just me personally, I'm not a fan of it.
You need to prove that actually happened.
Well,
I need data here. Don't give me. I need data. I need you to come in next week and go, well, here it is. See, listen to these papers that I'm rattling. These are official documents that prove an economic benefit to that tournament that Tony Romo has brought.
Well, Hayes is a bit busy next week. He's got something on, but maybe after that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I'm going to go and hire the same people who do that for the Australian Grand Prix.
I knew you were going to say that. I was going to throw that right back at you.
Are they some dodgy stats? Or?
Well, I would never say that.
No. Economic benefit. Oh, yeah, no.
No, I just think that the 144th player into that field could be me. It's someone who's never going to scratch the surface of a big tour win. If it's a young kid, I get that. If it's a chopper who's 37 and just, at the back end of it, I'm all in on Romo playing. I'm all in on Steph Curry playing because it's now on ESPN Sports Center. And that's what happened. That event would not have got one lick of coverage, and here's my proof, and it's visual, so I can't razzle papers. It made Sports Center. So, just turn...
I mean, when Curry played, it did as well. But,
precisely. That's my point.
I haven't seen the data on that after it, but I did see it on the TV.
We don't want to start getting with
data. If you've been the last player into a pro field, and you've made the cut, and you've made money that made you... keep your card for the next year, which means you keep a job, which means you can feed your family, which means you can put your kids through school, which means you can pay your mortgage. the life things, the important things for a pro golfer.
Yep.
Tony Romo doesn't need to make $1 out of golf.
No, and maybe he could actually take
I wanna
that
hear-
cash
I wanna hear from you.
and invest into the 144th guy, sponsor him through a couple of tough weeks of his career.
Well, wouldn't that be a lovely thing?
That would be nice.
No, that would be a lovely thing.
I do understand the problem the 144th pro has got with this issue, but I just say that it gets coverage for golf that otherwise wouldn't happen, and the sponsors and everything that flows from that down the track benefits the 143 others.
Just not
for the greater good, and we need to implore Tony. I know Tony's a big listener of this. There's a very
loves the show.
Yeah, he can't get enough.
Big
of it.
fan of you.
Is he?
Not a big fan of me because he reckons I underrate him as a quarterback.
I implore you, Tony, to reach out to Jerry Knackers and give him a cup.
If he does that, if he comes out and says that's what I did, I love the bloke anyway. I love him. I love Tony Romo. But if he comes out and does that, then more power to him, and that validates, or validate's not the right word, but that justifies having Tony Romo in the field. I reckon I'd love him if he did that.
Well, we could easily find out the first alternate to that field. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he could do it if he was that inclined. I'm pretty sure he's not.
Anything else before we get a wriggle on? You've got some important notes over there. We've got a special Ask Clates coming up in the coming weeks.
We can all sit here and talk about how people like us and don't like us and whatever. Clearly, Mike Clayton's the star of this little show.
It's his show.
It's his show, and we just bide time until he comes in a few weeks' time.
Until he graces us with his presence.
Correct. And he is coming back in a couple of weeks. And the world-famous Ask Us Anything segment is back in play, Andy.
Beautiful, love it.
So we encourage people to get on Twitter and tweet us at @inside_the_ropes. Use the hashtag #AskUsAnything. And when Clates returns to the third host chair, you can pepper him with anything.
Anything.
Absolutely anything. And the more controversial, the better.
Preferably to do with golf. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. Spotify, Stitcher, other various providers of podcasts.
I know you're a big Apple podcast.
Well, that's my go.
Yeah, I'm an Overcast guy.
Okay, right.
But you can get it on Overcast. But wherever you get your podcast
Exactly
from.
right.
And we'd also love listeners who enjoy the show to rate and review it on iTunes, which helps more people like you discover it.
There you go. Stacey, I'm looking forward to you doing more of these. I've just got a feeling that you are going to provide some headlines for us this year.
Oh, I hope for the right reasons,
No,
and
for all the right
I've really enjoyed being in here and learn a lot from you guys.
Well, what have you learned? Just give us one thing that you've learned from us today.
None of these throwaway lines.
You can't just that Pepsi Max is no good for you when you've got a cold.
Or maybe it is good.
Or maybe this is something
That's
that we
the
haven't
thing.
learned
I'm
today.
not crossing out that theory. It's probably something I won't pursue. But
Hang on, I've got Christy Kerr on the phone. Hang on a second.
Oh, right. Good. Looking forward to getting her on the show next time. Stacey,
no, it's
lovely
very
to see you.
enjoyable, guys. I love it.
Good on you, Hazy. Get better. And I'll see you in Augusta, if not beforehand.
So jealous.
Cop that, Stace.
Yeah.
Inside the Ropes, episode number 36, done and dusted. Thanks to Sarah Jane Smith, Marc Leishman, Bryden Macpherson, but more importantly, thank you to you for having a listen. We'll be back next week to do it all again.